Hi guys. Well, wasn't that fun?
Oh, I loved every moment of it.
Monuments at
I also
Night.
did. Like, you guys look like you had fun, and by you guys I mean Seth, because also wasn't there. Steve was in Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, I was in Tennessee. I got the fortunate, time of being at a wedding during the USF Navy game. Nate instead opted for me to go to Georgia Tech to watch that barn burner of a game, so got to enjoy a nice wedding in the mountains instead of whatever that was.
Seth, so Monuments at Night. I heard you're a photographer, at least as a little night job there.
I've never had so many people think I was that approachable. I've got approached by like four different people to take pictures. I usually try to give up a menacing vibe, but it didn't seem to work out in Washington D.C.
You're just too nice of a guy.
I guess.
The niceness, they knew you were part of the dailystampede.com and said, those guys are very approachable, not a hate blog or hate site at all.
That's right.
Anyway,
Nice,
welcome.
nice young men.
Welcome to TDS Film Room, the very unfortunate Navy edition, presented by Matrix Hormones. If you want to get your energy back, call Matrix Hormones, matrixhormones.com, 813-333-2226. They will get you tested and see what they can add to your life to make you feel better, make you feel like you were younger, faster, and stronger. More 2015, 2016 USF, not so much 2019 USF. So they're professionals who handle things such as testosterone replacement, therapies, and much more. They'll give you a consultation, get your blood work started, and make you feel yourself again. And I think we all want to do that, very much so. Well, the three of us are the younger guys, so I don't know. Maybe
That's
the
right.
older guys should
Yeah, we'll
give it.
we'll share it with Colin.
That is Matrix Hormones, 813-333-2226. Let the guys give you a test, get you back to where you want to be, and give Matrix Hormones a call. So,
Perfect.
do we want to dive into this? Anchors away, my friend.
Yes.
Can we do
that's
any
what-
more nautical puns there?
I was going to whip out in the Navy, but it felt very inappropriate since we got completely navied.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right. So let's go ahead and switch over here. All right. Is this showing up here?
Yep.
All right, so here's how I wanted to start the film room today. I think one of the big, besides just kind of the poor performance of the team, one of the narratives coming out of the game is that Mitch Wilcox only had one target. And people are kind of trying to understand why your best player would only have one target. So we're going to kind of go through a few plays that I pulled out where I think he was probably the primary receiver, or kind of the play was designed to get him the ball possibly. And the quarterback ended up going a different way. So, we'll start here. This is the first third down of the game. It probably should have been a pass interference call, but you're on the road against Navy. You're not going to get that call probably. So I'll let the play run, and then we'll kind of go through it slowly. All right. So again, probably should have been a pass interference call, but it wasn't. So just looking at the play here. Let it roll one more time. All right. So the idea is down here, you're going to have a go route. Backside, you have a slant. This motion is going to kind of give the quarterback an indicator, possibly, of what kind of coverage he's going to see. All right, so a lot of teams will use pre-snap motion to give the quarterback an indicator as it's zone or man. And all they're going to do here is he's going to kind of get vertical and run an out. And then Wilcox is going to be here, and he's going to run basically a speed out or a quick flat route, and this guy will trail him. So if you're working this side, if Wilcox gets his guy outflanked quickly, so if it's man maybe, and he beats his guy outside, you can lay it on him, and if he breaks a tackle, now he's down the sideline. Or at worst, he picks up 5 yards for the first down. If it's zone or something like that, and they kind of widen out with him, then there's another hole back here. Then you also have the slant backside. If you think it's man, you can take that shot too. But I would guess that the play was designed and the play was called because you can always have that backside to try to kind of sneak him out and get him the ball on the run. So we'll kind of watch it in slow motion here. With the motion, he gets followed. Now right here, he gets upfield, and this is basically right here. This is basically a pick play, but just run into the field instead of running it down towards the goal line. It's the same idea. This guy has to turn and try to run through traffic, and Wilcox is able to get outflanked. So right here, he's got him beat. The quarterback throws the ball right here to Wilcox. He breaks that tackle. He's going, at worst, he's picking up the first down. He decides to work back here to the slant, which is not a bad decision. But again, this is a play where I think Wilcox was probably the primary target. And if the quarterback puts it on him right here, he's generated a little bit of separation on a quick route, which is all you need. And he catches that, like I said, he either catches it, gets tackled for a first down, or he breaks a tackle and maybe gets more. But the quarterback decided to go backside, and the ball falls incomplete with some controversy. Being there, I'd say that's probably pass interference. So
Could Jordan have? Because clearly the pre-snap motion kind of gives the take that it's man. Mm-hmm. Could Jordan have kind of given a little bit more faith? I think that's Randall St. Felix at the top there, beat his man one-on-one rather than, was he trying to basically go with the preferred matchup of?
It could be something to where they're like, tell him, hey, zone, you could work this side. It still is not a bad man play either. But they could say, hey, man, if you see it's man, and they kind of give this to him. So this schematically kind of gives him an indicator of what's coming. So that's something that's kind of like, you don't really think about too much, but they basically, just by doing that little motion, kind of show him what the defense is going to do. Mm-hmm. And he may just think, okay, it's one-on-one. It looks like they're bringing pressure. I'll get the ball to my hands quickly to this guy. But I think, this, and that's not a bad decision, really. I mean, he's open too, but this is also a play where when people are asking, why isn't Wilcox getting the ball? Well, he's open here, and this would have been the primary on this side to throw him the ball. The quarterback just decided to go backside.
Yeah.
So, and again, probably should have been pass interference. I think they even said on the broadcast, boy, that was a lot of contact. And
yeah, they harped on it for a minute.
Yeah. So there's one where and that's the first third down of the game. If they get the interference call, or maybe if they throw it out to Wilcox here, they pick up the first down. And again, this is not a bad throw right here. There's the ball, there's his hand. He's just got his arms on him. So McLeod made a few pretty good throws during the game. Mm-hmm. But you could obviously tell there's something going on with him, especially when he tried to take off and run a little bit. But those are the kind of opportunities you got to take. So here's yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and those are still I think everyone kind of knows this now. These are still the scripted plays that, Bell, the first 10 plays are generally scripted. You don't really change much. So I think that was kind of Bell's indicator of, how they was going to run their defense. So those are still in the scripted playbook.
Yeah. And so here it's third and long, but they run a drive concept is what I think. So I'm going to show you kind of what the idea of it is here. And everyone's kind of wondering, why are they throwing short on third and long? Why do they keep throwing short? Well, one thing Navy did is they dropped 8 guys deep on every third and long. And we talked about that on the preview for Navy last week. If you watched that, I discussed how Navy would sometimes they bring a lot of pressure, and then third and long, they'll drop 8 guys. So they kind of give you different looks. But I think there was still possibly an opportunity to fit the ball in here. And you'll see it on the next time they run drive, how I think it would come open, because this is kind of a tight shot of it. But here is the kind of the window that the tight end would be in, where Wilcox would be. So on drive, you're trying to get these guys to jump up, maybe take something in front of them, and then open up a window. So hopefully one of these guys jumps up here, and then I get a window behind him. They fell back so far. If you're calling this drive on third down, you're hoping I can get this dig here to Wilcox. I'll show it to you. So we'll go ahead and look at how they ran it later. You can kind of see it come open. This is the same concept here on a 3rd and 8. How he's going to be the dig guy. He's going to be the shallow guy. Right here, the quarterback ends up throwing the shallow. But if you look in this area here, right? This is where the dig's coming into here. If he could wait, the dig's coming right there, and you can put it on that for a first down. You see him coming right here into that window. And now another, your receiver right here falls down too. That doesn't help. But this was the play they were trying to get to Wilcox to play before. Hopefully, kind of get this to open up a hole behind them for Wilcox. And here, again, I don't know. It looks like he had a clean pocket. This is one I thought McLeod had moments of indecision in the game more than moments of just terrible throws. I thought that was something that was kind of odd for him. Was he was a little more indecisive. Like here, he tries to make a quick decision and get the ball out, but he's got time enough on 3rd and 8 to maybe wait for this thing to come open back there. Wait for that dig to come open. Just fire it in there, and hopefully your guy makes a catch for a first down. So on these ones where everyone sees it and you're like, why are they throwing the ball short? Well, part of it is because Navy's dropping guys back, but he could have possibly waited here and hit this dig.
I was about to say, I mean, when a defense rushes 3 like that, especially, I mean, USS defense or offensive line has been poor, but they should be able to give Jordan enough time that when Navy drops 8 in zone, that someone will be able to find an opening somewhere in the 3 seconds that Jordan probably would have rather than the 1.5 seconds he usually has.
Yeah, so, I mean...
And frankly, the line hasn't played... if you look at the progression over the course of the season, the line didn't play terrible this game.
No, I thought for the most part they played good, even in the run game. This is why it's like the last couple of weeks, it would have been like... It's almost like the first 3 or 4 games of the year, is you needed McLeod, and then like the last 2 or 3 games, it would have been really great to have Blake Barnett. Once the line kind of got settled and they're giving you time to throw. But because he kind of will wait and get to some of the deeper stuff. But here, yeah, I got time. I can always come late to one of these. If it's 3rd and 8, maybe try to wait and see if I can get that dig right there. But, give your guy a shot. Maybe if he makes one of those guys miss one-on-one, it's a first down. But, again, so that's the drive play. They've tried to one previously to Wilcox, where I'm thinking they're trying to hit that dig in like the second window. So this is kind of going back to that one. So now you see he throws it here, but he's looking, I'd be thinking you could hold it and look for this dig to Wilcox back there. So another one where he doesn't get the target, but he may have been the guy they were trying to get the ball to. This is one here. This is more about kind of the indecisiveness of McLeod the other day. So it's hard to see on the film here, but what they did is they ran him on a deep curl, and then there's a safety right here. Okay, can you see the little S on the screen there? So what they did is they basically tried to run this to try to hold this safety, which they did a pretty good job of. This is the first play after the interception. He's going to run inside and run a deep crossing route to the back of the end zone, the back pylon. So Mitch is going to hook up at about the 10 or 7 yard line, something like that, a little bit past the 10 here. Hold the safety there. I think he had a shot to throw this one, and then also your big body receiver runs a post backside.
And that's a mismatch at the top. That's a really, just based off of size,
yes.
That's a really bad mismatch on
this
Baker
is,
right there.
And this is Clairvaux.
Yeah.
And he does a good job of, he kind of gets hit a little bit initially, but he does a good job of winning inside. This was the kind of indecisiveness of McLeod. Now, that maybe it's because of the injury, but he threw the ball deep a couple times earlier in the game, but it could have been, kind of wearing on him by now. But here, you can't see it, but one safety, what ends up happening is this safety is late. This is McDoom here. The safety is late to him. So he vacates the middle of the field. You could have had this one or this one, 1 to 2 on the deep crosser or the post. And you see right now Clairvaux's winning position up top. And then instead of throwing it in there, which I think he could have fit it to the crosser or the post, he pulls it down and runs it and then has to slide. So that's one where, maybe for whatever reason he didn't want to throw a pick or he thought it was a little tight window. This one could have been a touchdown if he would just let it rip.
Replay, could it also be that the timing of it looked like he kind of jittered in the pocket a little bit too much. Could it have been the timing of him not being set because he does like a quick kind of jitter with his back foot? Could he have just not felt confident to throw it accurately, like in the stance that he was in? Because I know you're a coach. I know you probably and former quarterback too. You probably know it better than anyone else. Could he just be kind of young and not ready to pass in the pocket like that?
I think he
At all
might.
times.
It could have been something to where he might have held it on one route too long because you can kind of see his head like move, like he's like do I look back, and then he kind of comes back, and so I don't know. Even so, like this will be what he'll get to as a veteran guy, and there's some of this is young guy stuff. Like if they do fall underneath everything, just put it in his chest and get 5 yards. Or, throw it low, get 5 yards or whatever. If you don't like anything. Now, being in the press box, I thought he had one of those guys open, but he was not real decisive with it. And this could be right here where some of that injury is really playing into it. Is he's not able to elude and outrun the defense, which he'd shown the ability to do previously. So this is the same drive here. Inside the red zone area or close to the red zone, Navy played a lot of cover 0 or cover 1. So what they're trying to do here, they have Wilcox running a corner route. He's going to run like a shallow, and the back's going to come back out that way. So anticipating cover 1 or cover 0, I'm thinking, the play's called basically to throw this corner out to Wilcox, right? Because most of the time inside the red zone or close to the red zone, so the ball's on the 22 right here. So kind of in this area is when they like to go cover 0, cover 1, and bring pressure. So based on scouting report, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to call a play where I get my best player, Wilcox, one-on-one with the shot down the field, right? So that was the idea of the play. Navy kind of drops back into coverage here. Again, drops 8.
Yeah.
The quarterback drops it down. Now, this is one where if he drops it to this guy, if he drops it to this guy, if he can kind of see that this guy's come inside there, drop it to him. Now he's one-on-one with a corner. Maybe I can make a play. Instead, we pick up like 5 or 6 and kick a field goal. But again, the idea behind the play, based on the scouting report, is that Navy would be playing some type of man coverage. So that's you got your best player on a corner route against man coverage, and I would guess that would be the throw. So right here, McLeod sees everybody falls off, so he just kind of takes something underneath, see if somebody can make something happen.
And to also know, because I think I mentioned this in the podcast a little bit, how teams have been matching up Mitchell Wilcox. That was the guy that was covering Wilcox on that play was their number 1 corner. Or I think he's actually their safety, but he's the number 1 guy on there, and he bailed immediately to get to that corner.
Yeah, they're not until these guys step up and make some more plays at receiver, they're not going to let Wilcox beat them. So here I just threw this in. So that was kind of the section of, hey, these are plays that were designed to hit the ball to Mitchell Wilcox, and for whatever reason they didn't. But lack of targets doesn't mean lack of involvement in the game plan. I think targets are an easy target for people because it's a stat that I can look at and it makes me think I understand really what's going on. But it's not necessarily the case. Targets are I think a good stat, but you can also, are they scheming to get this guy open is I think more important. The quarterback's got to get them the ball. So I think that's, if you see the guys running open, then they're scheming to get him open. So that's kind of what I think is more relevant. Targets, that's kind of an easy one. Like we said I think we said this on the podcast. We could get Mitchell Wilcox 10 targets a game, but you might throw 5 or 6 picks. But would everyone be happy if he got targeted 10 times a game? I don't know. So it's kind of going to be it's kind of going to be up to these other guys to make some plays to get the playmaking burden off of him, so we can get him in some more matchups. They've still been able to get him open quite a bit this year, even with the deficiency outside. But I think teams are going to start kind of really keying on him and try to take him away. This is just a run game. Just kind of throw that back in there. Navy's been really good against the run all year. And I thought, due to the fact that they got behind so big, they had to kind of slow the run game down a little bit and kind of get away from it. But I thought USF ran the ball pretty well against the Navy defense that had been really good against it all year. So this is just zone, and this is a really good job by the back and a pretty good job up front here. And this is something that ECU had some trouble with this year. So I would suggest, or I would guess you'll see a healthy dose of this. All the linemen are stepping right. The back's looking to take it. Why? He's got a gap, but if he sees a helmet flash, he can get vertical. The back does a really good job here. He sees that helmet come across, and now he just gets vertical. You see linemen getting to the second level. Another great cut. And you pick up a big run on 2nd and 4 for a first down.
There is no reason why number 1 should have done anything but crashed out, because his delay here is the reason why this play was so successful.
Well, anytime you have that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's really the spread run game. Anytime you have a threat of the quarterback pulling it, you've got to slow down a little bit. Now, maybe later in the game, I haven't really kind of looked for it. Later in the game, maybe they're just flying in there and be like, all right, whatever, pull it. But for now, they got to kind of respect it, and that's basically you block him with the quarterback. Is the whole this the whole spread zone read is just we'll block him with the quarterback by reading him. So, but up front, a really good job. And then here's Mitch Wilcox in the left tackle, just killing somebody right here. So if you're wondering how Mitch is doing as a blocker, pretty good. I mean, pushing the guy about 10 yards downfield, that's pretty good, right? So again, the offensive line has improved. And they ran the ball, I thought, pretty well against a good Navy defense. They just got down and didn't take advantage of their opportunity early to make it a game. Just wanted to throw that in there. Here's another kind of indecisive, I thought, play. They have a screen called here. And what's interesting about this screen is you'll release guys, right, on kind of like a middle screen is what it looks like. And this is something that they do that I think is really interesting. They did it in the spring a little bit. He'll come in initially like he's running a middle screen, right? Like he's going to catch here almost like a jailbreak, get underneath. But he'll come in and then he'll pivot back out and end up catching the ball out here. And what ends up happening is you get a lot of play from these guys thinking it's going to be the screen in the middle, and you get them hooked. And right here, I think McLeod's a little late on this throw. If he throws a little sooner. So right here, the receiver's coming in. You see this play. You kind of see him playing there to come back inside. But right, the ball should be out. Like the ball should be coming out now. And you have that. You have blocked. You have Mitch coming for the corner. You got a pretty good play here. If he can catch the ball pretty quickly and then quickly read his blocks. So Jordan kind of holds it way too long, I'd say. And by the time he gets the ball, if he got the ball and could have been here, if he got the ball a little bit sooner, maybe he's here and he's up the sideline. Instead, he's late and he's drifting. He's being taught to drift away after he comes back out. So he's basically drifting closer and closer to the sideline, making it easier to tackle him.
I was about to say, I think you can kind of tell Bryce was. I mean, you can kind of tell by the way that Bryce there doesn't move naturally. He kind of does a shuffle step there, and that's kind of, for me at least, in my experience in football, that is the key indicator of I was supposed to get the ball already, and I'm trying to help my quarterback here get the ball to me by moving. Yeah.
So right here, you got this, and then you got Wilcox, who just blocked the defensive lineman 15 yards downfield, coming for the corner. So if this ball gets out a little quicker, now this is tough. You don't want to. You got to throw it over somebody, but you got to just get that ball out of your hands. And then now you missed some blocks here on the perimeter. But this thing might have already happened so fast that if he goes underneath there, well, maybe Bryce Miller's right here, so it doesn't matter. That's the kind of thing you got to think. If he gets the ball out quicker, maybe that's a bigger play right there. So this is just kind of back to that, he had a level of indecisiveness, and that could be because, I'm hurt or, How many road games has he played? He played Georgia Tech
He
and
played against
mop-up
Georgia
duty,
Tech, and then
he played UConn. Not the most
yeah.
hostile environment.
I mean, the buildings in the background were just, man,
I'm team
intimidating
pointy
skyline.
boy.
Yeah.
Team pointy one.
Oh,
So you'll see, like here. So this is something he's just a little bit late on, and maybe this could be a really good play if I'm on time, but kind of wait a little bit. Indecisive. There are just a few times he was indecisive on Saturday. I thought.
Also, big credit to Navy for swarming there.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
six hats on the ball there.
That's their thing, man. They're physical and aggressive, and they're going to pursue the ball perfectly. With everybody's going to take perfect angles for the most part. Like you have to play well to beat them, which I think they may end up. They may creep into the top 25 here in the next few weeks, and their game with Notre Dame will be interesting. This is not a bad team, but I thought USF had opportunities to make plays against them and did not. So this is right before the half. I put these two together because what I'm assuming happens here kind of leads to the interception on the next play. So I think they're running 4 verticals. All right. And typically, and we saw Johnny Ford score with it against South Carolina State, but one guy is he's got like a middle read, or he's got a vertical, a post read. So if the middle of the field is open, he'll bend it to the post. I don't know which one. It could be either one of these slot guys. Where the middle field is open, I'll bend it to the post. So on this one, I remember seeing in the press box, nobody bends to the post. Both guys just run up the seam, which basically you're running right to these safeties. You're just running into his lap. So not ideal. You're basically running to be covered. Now, if one of them broke to the middle of the field, there is an opening here because this linebacker kind of shades aside and doesn't drop dead nuts in the middle. So nobody breaks to the post. So McLeod's like, nobody's breaks, so he'll take off. And he slides a little bit early, but that's a good play by him. I'm pretty sure he was looking for somebody to break to the open middle of the field there. Nobody does, so he takes.
I was about to say, slot receiver at the top. I think that's Jannard Phillips. Sorry, I keep on going back to the play before because I have to watch it twice. But I think he took the wrong move around his linebacker that was covering him.
He tries to go outside.
Yeah,
and gets caught out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the easy play there for him is I'm baffled because that's like wide receiver number 101 is the linebacker gave him the outside with no help from the safety above, who was also shading to the outside. It should be an easy read to go right up the middle, but he chose to go outside on it.
And the next play, he ends up running the middle read. So I don't know if he has it on this or not, but if he does, I can just duck underneath that guy and run to the post right now, and maybe I catch a touchdown because all right, thanks. There's nobody there. If he can put it on me, then I can score maybe. So it doesn't happen. McLeod takes off. So then the next play, they have a timeout. They probably talk about it like, hey, you're supposed to convert. Remember that? So on this play, he converts, and now this is a young guy mistake. This guy just drops straight back, almost like a Tampa 2, where he just drops straight down the pipe and kind of clogs the middle. So they basically got 3 deep safeties right here with this linebacker as the functional third safety. And McLeod's thinking middle of the field open, I got the post. And so he throws it, and he doesn't see that linebacker has dropped underneath the post. And the linebacker just steps over and picks it. But I'm pretty sure it's basically the same 2 plays in a row. One, the receiver didn't break to the post, and the second one, the quarterback missed the linebacker dropping underneath it. Right there, you got to just take your check down and your back, throw it to your back here underneath, and just get what you can.
And I'm pretty sure that's Jannard Phillips on both of those.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was supposed to break it the first. Now he was to the field, and this time he's to the boundary. So I don't know if it was the boundary guy that's supposed to break, but So that's there's the interception. I think it was really caused by the play before. So that's just kind of things that, as you get older and play a little bit more, you'll recognize that kind of stuff. So when the Navy head coach said this is the most dominating defensive performance he's ever seen at Navy, I think that's kind of.
I mean, we did him a few favors.
That's kind of a little bit of fake Fake
think that's-
juice there. So I thought this was a really interesting play call. And this is one I thought, this is earlier in the second half. This is a really good throw by Jordan McLeod right here. They got two safeties split, and they're just going to have the back run down the middle of the field and kind of split the safeties on 3rd and 10. So you hold the two safeties with these receivers, and then the back, they'll try to drop 8, but the linebacker kind of drops in here. The back gets inside of him. You have a hole for a throw, and McLeod makes a really good throw here. So they move those guys out, so you see the safeties come with them, so now get them even further away from the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
So just that little movement lets McLeod know, okay, I'm going to have that. The linebacker goes to run underneath, but he kind of pedals to the field, and you get the back, and this is a really hard throw right here.
Yeah.
So, even with him being injured, he was able to make some really tough throws. I think kind of the second half McLeod, but this is a really tough throw right here. And if the back can hold on, that's a first down, and now I got a first down. I'm probably getting points out of this drive once I'm, past the 35. And then the hit makes him drop it. But this is a good throw and a good scheme to get somebody wide open down the middle of the field.
Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just based off of what the receivers were running, it seems like this was a hot route called at the line of scrimmage by either, and just based off of who was talking, it looks like it was called by Jordan there.
It could be. I mean, they're looked to the sideline, I think.
Yeah.
It could be looks like they're running screen here, but it could be
it looked like it was a double tunnel on both sides.
It could be basically just I'm running those tunnels because I know this guy's reading 2 and he's going to widen out.
Yeah.
And now, if these guys do show now, what they're showing is full out blitz.
Mm-hmm.
If they stayed full out blitz, now you have him down the middle. That's a touchdown, right? So even with them dropping out, it still works because the back runs a pretty good route. And the middle of the field is still there's a vacant area.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those tunnel screens are more it almost turned into like a one-man route where the tunnel screens are, and like you said, almost maybe like a hot route almost.
Yeah.
Where the tunnel screens are more to pull these guys out of there, and then now I have the middle of the field for my one player there. So
I know that's tough because you get drilled, but got to hold on to that.
Yeah, that's like we talked about in the podcast, right? SMU guys, those are the catches those kind of guys are making.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's a good catch. It's not an easy catch to make even before getting drilled, and he made it.
Yeah.
You just got to hold it to the ground.
I mean, that linebacker made a great play at the ball.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of it too. Like he tucked it away, and then there's the hat right on ball. That's tough.
Yeah.
But you got your hands on it. Hopefully, you can reel that in. And if you do, that's a first down there on what I think is a pretty well designed play and a really well executed play by the quarterback. Okay, so now here's the fourth down, and this is one that these are kind of back-to-back ones. You're hoping your receiver can help you out. These are the ones where it's like McLeod, he didn't play his best. He obviously wasn't 100%, but he did still make some good throws. And this is one here where I think he sees it. He makes a check. You can kind of see him making a check to double slant. They bring pressure. He throws a slant, and that's not a hard catch. Now, the ref might have maybe the ref threw him off a little bit. But if he catches this, I mean, this is Phillips. He's one of your more explosive guys. He catches it, he might be going to the end zone here. And that makes it 21-10 with 8.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Hey, Seth.
Yeah.
As a former coach and player, what are two of the most common routes that receivers run during pregame warmups?
You'll run, you run your go outs, you run your slants, you run your hitches, that kind of stuff.
Because, I mean, and I think I'm alluding to the fact that I think every single time the USF players are warming up, they run slants and they run outs to kind of get into the feel of running and catching the ball instead of, and that, I mean, that's just frustrating. And I got to feel for Jordan there because he did everything right there.
And then, that's what I'm saying. Like, he made some good throws. He just didn't get helped out a ton. And then the other thing to notice here, All right, look where the ball is. The ball is, inside the 30. We talked about on the one to Mitchell Wilcox where they had him called for a corner out about how they usually play like zero man. Well, here it is. So you can this kind of goes back to, well, why isn't Mitch getting targets? Well, this is what they thought they were going to get because this is what they show a lot. If you got Wilcox running a corner out here, like they called earlier, he's probably going to get the ball. Here they keep him in to protect. Great throw. Great check. If that's McLeod checking, that's a great check.
Mhm.
Just make the play. That's a touchdown maybe if you can hold on.
And you're getting those back to back. I mean, at some point, when you're seeing drops like that, it's okay. Now I got to be perfect. So that also affects you.
Yeah, I pulled him, but yeah, like that's what in the first half he was. That's what like I kind of just watching the game and not really thinking about the previous injury stuff. I thought he played all right. He was 9 of 16. He had this is the second half, but he was 9 of 16, so he had 7 incompletions. One was a throwaway on a snap he didn't quite handle. One was an interception. One was he just overshot a go route, which I mean that's okay. You'll overshoot a go route. 2 were probably pass interference calls that weren't called that should have been called. That were not bad throws, but the receiver got hit before the ball got there. So now we're down to like 2 or 3 incompletions on him out of 16 throws. That's not terrible. It's not like he was awful. That's why I thought some of the injury stuff was. He's obviously now in the second half it was worse. I thought like his first throw in the second half was in the dirt. So maybe kind of as the game went on and he got hit a few times, maybe it got worse.
I was about to say, did he take a shot that might have rattled him a little bit more than an average one would? Because I know the broadcasters talked about how much he was getting hit. I had to watch replay obviously after, and they did mention a few times, especially in the second half, and they showed a few hits that he was taking, and those aren't these aren't love taps by Navy, and they capitalized on the fact that Jordan was already hurt and just continued to put pressure in his face.
I thought he played all right to start the game. Then as the game wore on, but now this is 8 minutes left in the third quarter, so this isn't exactly like early. And this is a really good throw right here. So, especially if your guy's hurt, you got to make plays for him when you can. If he is limited, and he's obviously limited at some percentage. He's not 100%. I think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah.
The coaches even said he's not 100%. But
he does take a little bit of a hit there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when he makes these great throws, you gotta make a play for him. So we'll end it on a high note here. So if you watched last week's preview of Navy, we talked about when they got in a shotgun and went spread like this, one of their favorite route concepts was that. And this is another one you're going to see from ECU this week, a go route and a speed out. KJ Sales said after the game, he kind of knew from film study when there's this formation that this is one of their favorite routes. So he kind of slow played the go route and kind of read the quarterback's eyes. The quarterback just misfires. And Sales is there waiting for him. And maybe he can get a little Charles Woodson play and play a little receiver there. I think he did the Heisman right there. So
he did, yeah.
Maybe he needs to come play a little slot receiver because that's a pretty good job after the catch right there.
Yeah.
So, but this was just a great job right here of film study and being prepared and understanding kind of what they like to do.
I mean, he opens up to it immediately too.
And he's just right here. You can see him just kind of watching the eyes, and he knows as soon as that thing breaks that I got a chance. And if that is not, if that ball is thrown well, he probably knocks 25's helmet 10 rows into the stand. So
I was about to say,
he's kind of
he's either getting a pick six or he's destroying a man's football career.
Pick six or decapitation.
He's in perfect position. That was just And then this should have been touchdown. I don't know about that.
You guys want to see the block? Come on here.
I mean,
this is a rule, but this is not like the guy does have a chance. Theoretically, the guy is trying to make the play. This is kind of. I mean, that ref had his hand in his flag quick.
I think he sees Reeves coming and
puts his hand down.
I mean. And speaking from experience for a defensive player, you make that hit. You do every team, and that's not you trying to be an asshole or anything like that. You get bullied by these offensive linemen, and I guarantee Reeves and number 77 had to go up against each other a few times.
They ran the
But
ball at Reeves over and over and over, and he did a really good job. But he was frustrated after being, red. Navy is like a nightmare to play this defense in. You'll get red, you'll get cut, you'll get pinned, you'll get
double teamed.
They do, double teamed. It's like you never know what's going to happen. So you're probably thinking, all right, if I can get a shot here, I might take it. But you got to lay off with the new rules because that's 7 points that got wiped off the board.
And it is a huge bright spot on our defense, and they talked about it in broadcasts, and it's very apparent this defense is really good at havoc plays, and havoc plays are going to be what is like how USF is going to stay in games. Getting these turnovers, getting these pick six, getting these sacks. That's how bad teams get those upsets. I think Bill Connolly has a piece about it. You have to score by whatever means necessary sometimes to beat the teams you shouldn't. And
explosive plays and then those havoc plays are like super. And I think there's a stat like if you can create one negative, Kirby Smart spoke about it at clinic. If you can create like one negative play in a drive, it like almost kills the chance of scoring. It's like the chance of scoring goes down so drastically just for one like tackle for loss. So you'll see teams kind of go and kind of high risk, high reward sometimes. And this is kind of a high risk, high reward thing. If this quarterback, like ECU this week might pump this out route and hit the go route. So he's got to make sure that because they will take shots down the field. So,
and that's on that. I think speaking on the defensive mindset, that's on Nick Roberts to kind of carry that deep coverage there. Cause it looks like almost that KJ was just supposed to sit on that out route.
He said, it looks like he's kind of squatting up top too. So they could be playing two. I think we talked about it. Nate and I talked about it in the box. They had to kind of bring the corners up into play the way Navy adjusted to what USF was doing. Because USF did, for the most part, until later in the game, I thought did a really good job with the triple option. And that's the toughest part to start. They ended up getting beat later with just like straight dive, and they just hand off the dive, and the line would get a big push, and the back would cut it back. But I thought they handled the option really well. And so what Navy tried to do is they tightened down their receivers and brought the receiver splits in really close to the wing backs, and then basically would just try to pin everyone in and get outside. Once they started doing that, USF started playing more cover two, I think, where these guys played flat and kind of sat more in the flat and let the safeties, get the responsibility over the top. And that's why I think you saw the Nick Robert picks late. Navy was thinking it was going to be a quarters coverage where the safety was playing number two. So when number two run blocked, he was going to fill. So the quarterback threw it, but the safety was playing deep half. So the quarterback threw it right to Nick Roberts, and he made a good play on the ball. But that was kind of the adjustment they made. So I thought they had a pretty good plan. And then they also were able to adjust, and they moved a little bit more in the second half too defensively. I didn't bring a ton of defensive plays this week. I think this is the only one, just because you're not going to see the triple option again this year. So
I was about to say they look like
some of the stuff you have to do is like you're never going to do again. So it's kind of, and I think just talking about it now might be enough. Yeah. So
I was about to say they played very disciplined for probably 95% of the game. It just so happens that those other 5% plays ended up being, pass protection breakdowns and Malcolm Perry being the best athlete on the field and
you're never going. Like the touchdown, his touchdown run, the first one is just like,
That's what he does, and that's what they're good at. If you don't expect them to drop back, and you're probably in it's one of those things where you might not be in the alignment that you want, so you start, okay, I got to cover these receivers, leaves the middle of the field wide open, and he's an athlete.
All right, so this is the first run, and it's just like, this is like you were just saying, Steve, it's like discipline.
Yeah,
you got to just, Coach Strong talks about it. You can't get upfield, but you also can't get out of your rush lanes either. So here you see kind of a guy, instead of just kind of holding serve here, he kind of jumps inside. And now your linebacker jumps inside. and he's outside. So now you've opened a big hole right there.
Right by 69.
You've opened that rush lane. Now your linebacker does a pretty good job of trying to get over the top, but he doesn't make the play. And then, it's just little things. That's why the triple option is so tough. And then if you have a guy like that, it's just, even when they drop back pass, but it's just like, sometimes against a really good running quarterback, these guys will just hold at the line of scrimmage and be like, all right, throw it. Yeah, beat us on the ball, and then we'll have these guys to spy you if you try to get out of the pocket. But they just kind of, it's like, oh, I get a pass rush finally. Let me try to do my swim move here, my arm over, and then it's like, well, now you've just created this humongous lane right here.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit back and make him stay in the pocket. And the other thing, just to jump back, if they don't give him this gap to run through, watch out here. He's going to win if he can't step up right here. If there's resistance right here, he's coming for there, and then your linebacker's already sitting here waiting for that too. So that's just like, you have to maintain rush lanes, and then right there, you do have a chance to make a tackle. You got to make it.
I'm going to check something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because I was giving testament to the fact that they played disciplined. This was Navy's first pass attempt of the game.
Yeah.
For second drive, and I think they only ran about 9 or 10 plays. But the defense didn't get into a lull because if you kind of slowly break into the play there, KJ, Devin, Nick, and I can't tell who's at the top there, they immediately recognized the play was going to be a pass play as the receivers were coming out instead of blocking, because that's probably the most difficult thing about the triple option is getting beat over the top because you were expecting the run play. Yeah, KJ bails immediately. They all did a fantastic job. Defensive lineman did a fantastic job of getting pressure to Malcolm Perry. I mean, Reeves is coming unblocked at that point. I mean, I hate to say it, Greer just didn't make the play. He makes the play there. You're third down and 11.
And that's when Coach Strong says execute, and everybody gets pissed off in the post-game press conference. But it's, it does come down to it sometimes. It's not like you're totally getting out schemed. That's just a one guy making a play. And you could have played a little bit more disciplined up front, but I mean, this is pretty good. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This was Navy's adjustment to USF having kind of 3 down linemen. It's hard to tell if these guys are head up or if they're inside shade, but their adjustment was to bring the receivers in here and try to pin guys. If you went inside or if you lined up outside, they would run the ball right there at you. So they made it tough. But what USF did to adjust is they put him inside. Let's go ahead and erase that. So USF's adjustment was, all right, we'll put him inside. You can pin him, but now our corners are going to play like more of a cover 2. So our corners are going to fill for run. So, yeah, if you want to go ahead and toss it out there, well, our corners are going to come up and play run. So it's almost like functionally having like 7 defensive linemen.
I was about to say, I was surprised they didn't run fair.
If your corners are tough.
Yeah.
So they did a good job, and then Navy adjusted, and they adjusted back. So it wasn't a game where you lost because you weren't ready for the triple option either. It's just, you kind of got worn out, I think, and Navy is really good, and Navy had the best player on the field. So maybe not the best player for the future, but that game, that was the best guy on the field. And, he does this. So.
Yeah.
We said in the preview. We said in the preview, mistakes rarely go unpunished against Navy.
Oh, it's so frustrating to watch that.
You got to play well. But this is, it ended up being a blowout, but this is a game I thought could have very well been closer if USF was able to take advantage of a couple things early. They just weren't able to. So, I mean, that's probably it for the film room today. You guys got anything else you'd like to see or any questions or anything like that?
I think if we could cut into one more play, just because for complacency's sake of what we're probably going to see this week, is Kirk Reigel's pass, like the 8-yard completion he had towards the end of the game. I think it was on that 3rd down. Just because I kind of touched on it. He has a really, really good arm, but I think the biggest disadvantage we're going to see in in this game might be his size isn't up to par.
Is this the poster?
Yeah.
And this is something they tried to run previously that I thought they had open,
Mhm.
but it's like it looks like it's almost like a deep crosser, I think a go route and possibly a post behind it. So not too dissimilar to us, like on the backside to what the one that McLeod didn't pull the trigger on earlier.
Mhm.
But play
Captain
action-
Kirk, he unloads this.
Oh, he's got
that's a strike.
Yeah, he's got a good arm, man. Now he throws everything 100 miles an hour, but that could be he's jacked up for his first game, But that's we were sitting up in the box. I'm like, oh my god, I hope this guy doesn't come in and just throw a bomb on his first throw, And then everyone's gonna be like, oh, what are these guys doing? Of course, he comes in and just throws a freaking laser beam down the middle of the field.
But
Also,
don't
the
forget,
the play fake too. Both those linebackers stepped up enormously to leave that open.
we don't know what type of, the depth chart that's in a Navy right now, but it doesn't look like he's afraid to make throws, but that might be good and it also might be real bad. So, but that's just he unloads it, man. And that is
he's got a cannon. He's not afraid to throw.
Also,
the ball.
Bryce Miller almost murdered a man. Actually, I think he did murder a man. This is
this is the
jitters.
one that just misses.
The jitters.
Pull that.
He's a handsome
Almost-
kid too.
you just I don't know. You gotta step.
So basically, they come back. They come back in the next play and run. So the play before it was like deep crosser and post, right?
Mhm.
This time they go. This is more like Y cross. I think the air raid staple, where it's a deep cross and a dig, and then the post comes from this side. So now if this guy jumps the deep crosser, well, now you have the post going behind his head. So the play before, you had the post on this side. This time you have the post on this side. And then the tight end is running to kind of occupy the flat. So you kind of get what you want, you just miss. So, but I like this kind of stepping up and letting it rip, like being decisive.
Oh, there's nothing I love more than a quarterback stepping up in the pocket
Yeah.
like that. Ugh,
I mean, good
good
feet,
shit.
and just put it on him. But that's the kind of game it was, and when you're just kind of missing or just one or two plays here or there, football's got thin margins, and if you was able to make some plays earlier in the game, maybe the game's totally different. But they didn't, so you let Navy get going on you, it's going to get over in a hurry. So
Did you get a video of the sad field goal?
I probably do actually.
We could just add that as a bonus on the end here.
This is, I don't know what this is, but it's not bad athleticism right here.
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to see.
They're trying to see if he crossed the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm sure we got the sad field goal. This is the back shoulder right here that he throws 1,000 miles an hour. This is a really good throw, by the way. That's like
I thought he caught it.
he had it, and then the ball almost ripped his arms out of socket, so he had to drop it.
Well, if you're not practicing with Kurt, you have no. I mean,
Kirk Rigel is the jug machine in practice. Actually,
Lord, did he need to do that? Anyway, that's just funny.
he's gonna
Xavier
throw the
Weaver's sitting
best
there like,
out
what?
routes. ever.
That's what Weaver's like. I got to the rest. I've already played over 4 games. I can't take a red shirt. I got to drop this ball. I can't afford to tear both my labrums trying to catch it. All right, here's the sad field.
Oh yes.
Doink.
Great adjustment by Schneider for that hold.
Yeah, a little the tough catch.
Tough snap. A little
Got
too
it
inside.
down. That's why he's up for Holder of the Year right there, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
it's beautiful.
Holder of the year.
And then these poor people right here.
That was what I only noticed in the broadcast was those people standing with the USF flag in the.
The ball doinks almost right to them, and they're like, ugh. Yeah.
Although, if you think, what are they on the? It's 4th and goal, and they're on the 20.
Yeah, no, they just had like a penalty to play before. I think what's this? It's a 33, so they're on the 16.
Yeah, 16-yard line. So, I mean, I don't disagree with Charlie's decision to throw it to kick it just because like Rigel just took a sack,
Yeah.
and I kind of don't disagree with it, but at the same time I was like, God damn it, just throw a back shoulder fade to the end zone and just call.
Yeah, throw
call
it up. Let's see one of those guys can go make a play. Why not?
Yeah.
Just use it as like a practice rep.
Irony that Strong was saying we need our receivers to go make a play, but he doesn't call a play that would. Yeah,
Well, I mean, they had their chances too. I guess you
Yeah.
can look at it like that. Like, yeah, if they could have made a play on 4th down earlier and scored a touchdown. So, well, I'll just let this loop as we do the. I guess we need to get off screen sharing, don't we?
Oh, we could outro here. Just keep.
Here, go ahead.
But those helmets, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the helmet's fantastic. Great design. I hope we break out those black unis for Cincinnati. I think that's the most fitting game. The most USF possible thing would be to use black against a team that uses black as a primary color. Nothing better.
It's probably going to be Thursday Night Temple.
Yeah, God damn it. It's I hate this. It's torture. Yeah, love you, Schrader, but man, sad field goals.
It it happens. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean-
don't lie. It's like you're really going to go for a field goal here. Yeah.
It's a real test of the ball don't lie system, and
I think that's. I think
it turns out the ball don't lie.
I mean, that's going to be USF season in a nutshell right here. That screen grab of USF kicking down 35-3 on a 4th and goal.
Nah, the one versus Wisconsin was way worse.
Screen grab those right next to each other. We'll do a TDS breakdown fully for an hour talking about those 2 field goals, and we'll go from there.
The double doink edition.
The doubles.
The double doink.
We'll do that for the funeral procession for
That's a bye
the end
week
of the season.
There you go. We got a bye week coming up.
Oh, we do actually. Shit. So, Vito, what did you learn today from this, terrible, horrible, no good film that we saw from Navy?
So, most like other film rooms, you start looking at, some receivers miss some throws. Maybe Jordan McLeod isn't 100%, but it wasn't just throwing ducks all games. There's plays that need to be made, and if you just try to pin your ears back when Navy drops back to pass, the Perry's going to kill you. So, you can't get behind Navy, especially 21-0 after one quarter. So,
Yeah.
I learned that. I don't know. Like I keep wanting to say, you see, it's not as bad as you think it is when you're watching the game, because when you're watching the game, you see all terrible. So you're seeing that there's something there. But I just, it might be. It's one of those years, but you're year 3 in the Charlie Strong era, and this is kind of what most of your performances are. You have 3 really, really bad losses. Well, 4 if you count Georgia Tech, that should have been a win probably. And your wins are against teams that are significantly worse. So, you could beat ECU, and it still might not tell you anything.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think one of the major telling things is it's just now we know. I think Seth and I talked about it in the weeks past. We still kind of didn't know what this team was capable of. We're still kind of up in the air because you really don't know what this healthy team could be capable of. But you do see flashes of the Kerwood Bell system can work in the ideal circumstances and when the quarterback can make the reads and, in a perfect world. But, sadly, you got an injured quarterback, you got an offensive line that's just not ready for this style of pass protection. You got receivers dropping balls. You have the perfect storm of really, really bad first year for an offensive coordinator who has a really, really good system.
Yeah, I think to me, just kind of I think there's like the title of our Wisconsin breakdown post game was missed opportunities. And that's kind of been the theme for the season a lot of times. you see it on both sides. The scheme, it's not like these guys are just getting, the coaches are getting totally out schemed. For the most part, their schemes and their play calls and things that are pretty good and sometimes are even optimal. But the execution has been lacking. And, at a certain point, the players got to make plays when they're available. And what I try to do is just look at, when I'm kind of looking and trying to judge coaches, is okay, especially on the offensive staff this year. Now I'm a homer for Kerwin. I've seen him coach all over, so I kind of know what he does and how good he is. And if you only saw this year, you may think otherwise. But when it's a guy that didn't get to recruit any of the players, you got to look at the play calls and the scheme. And if that's there, what else can he do? So that's how I kind of look at it. Obviously, when the plays are there, you got to have guys make the plays, but they are having to play a lot of young guys. So this could be something where they take a lot of lumps this year, and maybe it really pays dividends down the road. Who's going to be the head coach for that?
We can only hope.
It's anybody's guess now, but hopefully, I think kind of the one thing is you kind of see the stuff and you're hopeful because you're like, okay, well, if they could get it figured out and they start hitting these open plays and they start blocking this guy, and that they're gonna end up being, they can really turn it around. And you kind of just been waiting for that the last couple of weeks. And there's been flashes of it where they, like against BYU, the offensive line really stepped up and they ran the ball really well. And you're like, okay, they're coming around. And then it's still like we're going into, what week is this?
Week 8.
Week 8?
I think.
You're going into week 8.
Going to week 9.
Week 9.
So you're going into week 9 and you're like, all right, well, if they could just do this and this, and, and it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully it will start to happen, and maybe against ECU, a team that I think they should beat, a little momentum, a little confidence going into the bye week, and they can start putting stuff together for this really tough run they got coming up after the bye. So, we'll see. But that's kind of, I feel like that's how we've all been kind of looking this year. It's like, okay, it's there. They'll get it. And they just haven't gotten it yet. So if they ever do, I think they might have a game where they come out and pull a big upset on somebody if they can kind of put it all together for one game. But it just hasn't happened yet. And you're just kind of waiting. And the anticipation is always the worst part, right?
Yeah. And I mean, to add on that, Bell's first year at Valdosta State wasn't exactly, he didn't come out guns blazing. I would have to probably double check this, but I don't think he made the FCS playoffs in his first year at Valdosta State. And then mere one season later, he was able to kind of get things under his belt, start building momentum. And then in that third year is where the next level was taken off.
Yeah, it was all clicking on all cylinders.
And you can only hope that can transition well into the Division I realm as well as it did in the Division II realm. And I have, just from these breakdowns and the film breakdowns and the things that we've seen and the things we've heard, it can definitely happen here. We've seen it happen from school to school across the country of, things getting under the belt and the right system being there. And it does come down to execution. Last year, ignore what Sterling and Charlie were saying about execution. That was running your head into the wall 50 times a game, and then on one of them getting through the wall. Now it's intelligent play calling and dissecting the defense. Now the players just need to execute, catch the ball, block the guy. Yeah. I mean, these are basic fundamental things, not run the ball behind the offensive lineman's ass.
Yeah, it's not like execution where, like, all right, execute by making a perfect throw to a guy that's got to make a really tough catch. It's like execute by hitting this guy that's wide open, and all you got to do is catch it.
Well, the X's and O's and the arrows should have been a touchdown, but
it all looks good on the board.
Always.
Whoever has whoever has the chalk last wins, is the old coach's saying. It all looks good on the board. So
now we're on Microsoft Surface tablets. We don't use chalk anymore, Seth.
I've coached in some underprivileged places. We're on whiteboards, I guess.
Oh,
whoever has the dry erase marker, it doesn't work. It doesn't sound so good. Whoever has the dry erase marker last wins. It doesn't sound quite as good. So.
No, so I think that about wraps up Film Room. These are always fantastic, and Seth, you do a fantastic job of breaking these down every week to really give us a false sense of hope week to week, so we can get crushed once again every Saturday afternoon when USF continues to shit on us. But hey, A few more weeks left, and we're going to be in basketball season. Am I right?
That is very true. I think this year especially has been very good transition for this film room because we could see when we watched during the game, we don't necessarily see everything that there is, and we could see what Kerwin Bell is trying to do, Jeremy Darveau. And don't forget, nobody from that class is decommitted quite yet. So a lot of those guys, if they come in, they'll be Bell guys, and that's the kind of guys that he wants. So a bit of a transition there.
You think they might be selling playing time?
Oh yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that they're probably selling, including a possible shovel hitting the dirt.
I mean, Miller Merriweather Lewis is getting a Publix bag on top of the fact that he's getting playing time when he steps on campus for the first time. I mean, God,
that new staff can recruit. That we do know that, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. If you listen to the podcast, we talk about what happens if they possibly lose to ECU, but I think we all have our various opinions on what that's going to be. And speaking of, if you want to watch us play ECU in a very fun environment, come to Beef O'Brady's for our watch party. Put a link into the description here and also on the podcast. Come hang out with Nathan, the rest of the Daily Stampede staff. There'll be fun prizes, fun stuff, and 20% of the proceeds go back to the blog for away game, which is very good. Helps us cover the games that you want to see or not see. Yep. At least you get to hear about it. So
and have us there. And that's the Beef O'Brady's on South McDill Avenue.
Yes.
Palmacia.
Good old Palmacia, same place that we did it last year. So that wraps up the TDS Film Room, sponsored by Matrix Hormones, and we'll see you next week.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
See you Saturday, right?
Yeah, we'll see you Saturday, and then we'll talk more next week.
There we go.
Adios.